To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Taking a live look outside on this beautiful Saturday. It is Kingdom Report Live Time, connecting you to more of what makes you happy as we, get a glance at the Disneyland Resort there. I'm Wade Heath here, coming to you live from the Warner Brothers Studios Media District in beautiful Burbank, California, where we have so much news, discussion, and information to get to. As always, it is a great treat to have you with us as always here on every broadcast. And if you are new to the show, might I suggest you head on over to the Kingdom Report on YouTube. Make sure you are subscribed. You get that notification bell turned on. If you're watching us via Facebook Live, we appreciate it too. Or if you're watching us on demand or maybe listening to us on demand via iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, or Stitcher, it means so much to have you with us. Can't forget iTunes too. So thanks for that. As I had mentioned, I'm Wade Heath, joining you here for some Disney magic. Lots of news, lots of stories to get to as always, and we will dive right in. But before we do that, we do have to get to who's joining us here today. And we will begin with our fine feathered friends from attractionfaction.net. It's Katrina Manzone and Tyler Crouch.
Hi, everybody. Happy Saturday.
Hey, guys. How's it going? I didn't realize I had feathers, but
fine
wow,
feathers.
What an eye-opener.
Yes. A lot of people don't know that, but a lot of those feathers under your hat, I bet.
Yeah, well, definitely.
That's it. Oh, feathers everywhere.
Look out. It's alive.
Oh, my gosh.
My quarantine hair is still crazy, but I will be getting a haircut pretty soon, so I'm excited.
Yeah, same here. This coming week is the longest my hair has ever been, and finally my barber is reopening, and I have booked, and I'm getting in there, and I'm getting a trim, so hopefully by this time next week, I will appear so much lighter when it comes to the top of my head. Looking forward to that.
Less feathers.
Less feathers to deal with, absolutely. And joining us, also at a distance, it's our Walt Disney World reporter, Gared Hassel.
How's it going, everyone? I'm Wade. I'm a little sad that I am not a feathered friend. I'm just a guy. I don't have a special title, but
you are the finest of feathered friends.
Well, now I feel very honored. It's good to be with you, folks. Happy Saturday. Let's make some dreams come true and all that.
Wow. Appreciate that. And speaking of dreams coming true, the man who makes the world go around here in Production Dungeon A, it's producer Curt. Hello, sir. Oh, what?
Why hello. Oh,
Curt, what are you sipping out of this week?
I have my Dinoco cup.
A Dinoco cup, you say?
Yeah, exactly.
Where does one find a Dinoco cup?
Why, from Radiator Springs, of course.
My goodness. And how much oil can you put in a can like that?
A whole bottle.
A whole bottle?
A whole bottle.
Wow.
Yeah, it's...
It's amazing. When you hold that cup up, we can see through you.
I know, right? It actually bends dimensions as well. I've noticed that. It's just kind of creepy. Ooh.
So is that... Are we to believe that there's nothing in there?
Whoa!
Whoa.
Oh, a little trippy.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what to believe anymore. This whole world is upside down, and I can see through cups now, and all of our spirits are ascending at such a rapid rate. It's unreal. My gosh. But great to have you all with us. Thank you all for contributing to the broadcast this week. Let's dive right into some of our first stories. The big one we start with here is that Walt Disney World is extending ticket expiration dates impacted by their closure to September 26th, 2021. This this is great news because I know a lot of people were concerned about Disney World reopening with all the new restrictions and all the things that were going to be coming with that, whether it be the face masks, whether it be you having to book out an entire trip ahead of time in terms of park reservations. There's a lot more to a Disney World trip than ever before, and I think that having this added sort of extension placed on certain tickets is much more helpful, especially given the fact that there is so much that you now need to plan in addition to what was already there for a Walt Disney World vacation, as we've talked about in prior broadcasts. But it's very nice to see that Disney has stated the following for ticket expiration increases. They say partially used multi-day theme park tickets with usage windows impacted by the park closure or date-specific theme park tickets purchased through June 6, 2020 with a valid use period beginning March 12th, 2020 or later will automatically be extended to use any date through September 26, 2021. If you are unable to visit by September 26, 2021, you may apply the value of a wholly unused ticket toward the purchase of a ticket for a future date. Tyler, Katrina, it's nice to see that there are some extensions being added here to those tickets that may have been cut off early or may be in a situation where people can't get to the parks right away or may want to wait. Is this something, as a travel professional, Katrina, is this something that you're happy to see?
So fair. When I heard about that, I was really excited because to use it by December 20th, 2020 was ridiculous for people that are, having plans and now, are either jobless or on furlough or something. And now they have to save up money for another trip. And then you're forced to use the ticket by 2020. I was like, that's not really fair. So I'm glad that they extended it to 2021. And then even then, now they're giving another option if you can't use that ticket to use that value towards another future ticket. Because obviously ticket prices are probably going to raise in prices. But at least I'm really happy to see that they're extending it.
Absolutely. It's nice to have that be brought online for everybody's usage and to have a date be pushed out. I think that Disney, for the most part, other than the mass cancellation that we saw of everybody's dining reservations and everything that people may have had planned through the end of 2020, other than that, I think that Disney has been very supportive when it comes to trying to find people's vacation dreams again for them and trying to sort of reinstall the dreams that they had lost in terms of all the COVID-19 cancellation madness, and as they rebuild their wheel, as we have mentioned before, to have extended out dates is very helpful for everybody. Moving right along here, Disney College program may not be restarting anytime soon. This is something that we've spoken about at length in the past, where we were specifically talking about how Disney College program operates in Walt Disney World and Disneyland. It's a much bigger operation out in Walt Disney World, much more significant in terms of numbers. They even have housing dedicated in mass for all the thousands and thousands of cast members that they bring in from around the world to come and work as part of the Disney College program and be supportive in this atmosphere. And really, a lot of Disney College Program cast members are the ones that fill the ranks of much of what you see at Walt Disney World in terms of rank and file and so many of the positions there. Disneyland to a much lesser degree, but the college program is still very much something that they have utilized over the course of the last several years. And while it's nowhere near the sheer numbers that you see out in Walt Disney World, you do definitely have those college program cast members. And now knowing that after a union call this week to current cast members went out, a union leader was saying, hey gang, we do not expect to see Disney College program back anytime soon. And something that we had mentioned in a prior broadcast is that Disney College program, it's the internship, by the way, that you can serve if you decided to come work for Disney for a period of time, get to know how Disney operates, get to know how things work. It's a paid internship experience, a lot of great networking opportunities. You can live there on site as you work, and it's worth college credit. And then you go back to school. So it's something that is very beneficial to a lot of people that are able to take part in it. But it looks like as they had excused people as COVID-19 was just starting to become a real threat, as they excused people away from their housing at Walt Disney World and at Disneyland over the course of like a weekend, there's been very little mentioned since, especially since they closed the parks and they shut down the resorts worldwide. College programs seem to be the last thing on everybody's mind at that point. We've spoken about when we think college program might come back online, and it does appear, based on what this union leader is telling all these cast members that are coming back, that are more permanent in nature, that it doesn't seem that the college program will return anytime soon. Gared, our Walt Disney World reporter, is somebody who has worked as part of the Disney College program in Orlando. Is this something that surprises you, or is this something that you're thinking, yeah, well, it was probably coming?
Yeah, no, I knew that was coming. Based off of what has been going on with the COVID, there's no way they could get all those international people back. Granted, some of them do live here domestically now, full time. In my apartment complex, I know that a few people that work in a few pavilions live here in the U.S., but it's not surprising. It's for one thing, while it is amazing that Epcot will be open, because that is my favorite park at Walt Disney World, it is sad that the World Showcase will not have the authenticity and the, I don't know, just the little bits that made it so authentic. Because like when you walk into France and they say bonjour and it will talk to you as if you were in that country, it's amazing, especially when you go to Mexico and everyone's from there and they speak Spanish. You're just losing a little bit. It's sad that there won't be a college program for a while, but on the plus side, it will be coming back. They didn't say forever it's gone, because they built a whole new housing complex, so it's not going anywhere. But Epcot just won't feel the same. But my heart goes out to all the cast members that were let go, because it stinks when your college program ends, especially when it ends out of your control. So I feel for all the college program kids. Love you guys. But there's always another chance to come back to Disney World and work for them again. So don't give up hope if you're watching.
Yeah, on the back end of that, I think it's great to reference that they are currently looking for cultural representatives to join the Mexico Pavilion for 2021. So already underway, that restaffing effort for next year is happening. So that's great news to see that, it is coming back. But Tyler, this is something that I think we all know and love about Epcot, is that, many of the people that work in these different pavilions in the countries located around the World Showcase Lagoon, they represent the countries that we visit, right? They are cultural representatives. They come from those places. And that's a big part, I think, of the magic that we all experience at Walt Disney World and Epcot specifically. Kind of a bummer, right? That, now we're just going to see maybe Florence from St. Cloud, and she might be there in Norway. I mean, it's, I'm sure she's equally as great as a cast member, but this is tough seeing the cultural representatives not going to be around anytime soon.
Yeah, it really does stink. And what really bums me out is that, people are going to be missing out on like a really cool experience. In my opinion, I would love to go, to Disneyland Paris and work as a kind of an American abroad. I think that's a really cool thing to do. And so a lot of people aren't going to get that experience, for the foreseeable future. And I'm sure some people were like signed up to go and very excited, and then this happened. But, the other thing I think about too is the festivals, because I like, when you eat around the world, and you get your escargot over in France, like Gared was saying, it's like, they're all French people, and it is going to be kind of weird. But again, like you said, they're all equally great cast members, I'm sure. But it will be weird. And, actually now that I'm speaking about festivals, I wonder if that's going to be completely different than it's ever been. They've got to keep on doing it, right? I'm sure, but we'll see how those go as well. So
yeah, modified festivals will likely be a thing of the future, especially given the fact that, it is such a cash cow every time they do those festivals, such a big, huge revenue generating thing that they do at Epcot. So yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And Katrina, something else that we learned from the union leadership this week that was sort of giving all of the cast members that were coming back an update and sharing with them what was going on. Another big piece was that it sounds like there's a whole new position being created that's coming online with the attractions cast members, and that is basically a queue monitor. So we've seen it at Disney Springs where they've had a yellow shirt brigade, their health and safety squad, all wearing their yellow shirts and going around trying to be as engaging as possible, trying to be as upbeat as possible, and enforce these rules of, hey, let's keep 6 feet apart, and hey, let's keep our mask on, and doing their best to try and keep all of these new temporary policies active. And now it sounds like attraction cast members are going to be utilized in the parks and elsewhere to try and implement that to a much greater degree across the theme parks. Are you looking forward to having yet another round of, or should I say, another form of enforcement when it comes to being told to, hey, keep your 6 feet apart there?
Yes. I was really happy when they made this announcement because, again, Disney is to make it like, it's a place for magic, right? Magical things to happen, happy, like, one of the happiest places on earth. But again, people are going to try to like abuse that and might not use their masks, might try to, get close to people and not really notice it. Again, you see like people go on a vacation brain and they just don't have that. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
I know what you mean,
like,
but I even go to the grocery store and people don't follow the rules. So I wish there was somebody, keeping people in line at the grocery store.
I'm glad that they're actually hiring these people because again, you don't want to force someone to be the bad guy if they're not like okay to do it. There's a lot of really timid cast members out there and you can't force them to say, okay, you need to make sure that they stay 6 feet away and put their masks on and make sure those kids have their masks on. There needs to be a bad guy, and I don't want to say that they're going to be bad people, but I'm sure these people that are going to be hired are the ones that are going to try to keep, they're not going to feel bad to tell people, please put your mask back on, please separate to make sure it's 6 feet apart, and I'm glad that they're creating this new job for people. I
haven't brought this up before, but could I tell a quick story? I think about this like almost every time we talk about Disney enforcing rules. I one time was a bad guest, and there's that picture spot in California Adventure at the end of Hollywoodland where you can go and take that kind of forced perspective photo, and they have the kind of barricades up so that you kind of stand at the right angle and everything like that. Well, one time my friend and I thought it would be funny to make me look giant, basically, so I stepped behind those barricades and took a photo. I know, horrible guest, right? But I will say that I was reprimanded in the nicest way I've ever been reprimanded when a cast member walked up to me and said, "Oh, excuse me, sir. I sure hope you're having a nice day. I just wanted to let you know that, we have those barricades there for your safety. And I would just really appreciate it if you just, would stay and take your picture on the other side of the barricade." And it was just like, it was one of those things where it all depends on how you approach it. So, it sounds bad to say like all these people are going to be enforcing rules and stuff, but I know that cast members and Disney can figure out a way to make it actually sound like they're not reprimanding you. They just want you to have a nice day,
It's not going to be bad. Like first I was like, oh my God, what are they going to do? Have a ruler or something and then make sure like, they're like, back up, make sure you're 6 feet away. And then like, be really mean about it. But it's not going to be like Universal Studios when you're getting on Transformers and they're yelling at you to sit down and pull the handlebars down and like get going and like yell at you and stuff. They're going to be super nice about it, but there needs to be people that do it because that there's going to be some of those guests that are just going to be like, oh, well, I'm in the queue. I can take this down and have a breather for a second. And, and then hang out with like other people and like get in other people's way. And, I'm glad that this is happening.
Yep, Disney has definitely, I think in terms of overall awareness, some of the world-class personal service attached to them in terms of stigma and, being sort of that beacon of guest service is something that they've always been known for. And to know that this group of cast members is going to be sort of repurposed in this new position, I think you're absolutely right. I think what's happening here is that rather than escalate this to a security matter right away, I mean, and you immediately create conflict when you do that, right? Because if you're approached by a security officer there's a much different feeling than if you're approached by, an attractions cast member. You see a security officer coming, you see a badge coming, and you immediately think like, what did I do wrong? What's the matter? And immediately that tension rises of, why am I in trouble? What's going on? And you have that cast member approach, that attractions cast member approach, who knows what they will be dressed as, but I'm sure it'll be something very lovely and very, engaging, to try and provide that guest service first of, hey, we have these rules, we have these policies. They're private property. They can do whatever they want, right? Okay, so I always like to make sure that we keep that clear. You don't have to visit Disney World. They are asking these things, and I understand if you're somebody that doesn't like the idea of wearing a mask in public in 90-degree heat in humid Florida, completely understand. You don't have to go. It's perfectly up to you as to what you do with your life, but they are requesting that of people, at least temporarily, and so they have sort of an enforcement arm that I think is much more guest service oriented. And I immediately think, guys, if you've ever seen the episode of Roseanne when they go to Disney World, and her and Jackie are walking along in the Magic Kingdom, and Roseanne is throwing popcorn on the ground, and they come to realize that it's like a game, and there's a custodial cast member right behind them a couple feet away who's constantly cleaning up as they go, and Roseanne calls out to a guest relations cast member and says, hey, I want to point out that this woman, points to Jackie and says, she's ruining my magical experience. Do your job and bust her. And it was the nicest, sweetest, most engaging guest relations person you could ever see. And he basically said, we have lots of trash receptacles for your refuge. And Roseanne had to look in her dictionary of Roseanne to Disney speak, and she said, how do I get you to go away? Oh, yes, have a magical day. And off he went. And so I immediately think back to moments like that, where, Disney has always tried to get across that they're different when it comes to taking care of people. They're different when it comes to guest service. They want people to enjoy themselves at the park. And so I think this is just another layer of, yes, while it is an enforcement arm, I think it's there to really be as engaging and as soft as possible, just to try and get everybody to understand that we're all in this together. There are these temporary rules in place. It's okay if you don't like them, but you're here and everybody's abiding by them. So we all need to come together and understand what these policies are. So it's nice to see that the attractions cast members that may not be utilized elsewhere in the resort are going to be repurposed for this position. All right. The other big news that we have this week, NBA Board of Governors votes in favor of the 2019-2020 season resuming in Orlando at ESPN's Wide World of Sports complex. Turns out the teams would start to travel to Orlando around July the 7th, with the season starting by July 31st. The last possible game would be on October the 12th, which is the scheduled date for Game 7 of the NBA Finals. Although Disney is definitely in gear to make this happen. I know we just got the official word that the NBA has signed on. Everybody is ready to rock and roll and continue the NBA season at ESPN Wide World of Sports. Gared, I don't have any desire to watch, enjoy, or appreciate basketball. Not saying it's bad, I just don't have an interest in it. How excited are you that it's coming to ESPN Wide World of Sports?
No, I'm excited because I'm looking at it from different perspectives. Like me, I like basketball. Granted, the Golden State Warriors are not going to anywhere be close to the playoffs. It's still great to, I rep the Warriors. I'm from NorCal. But I'm excited because, one, this brings a lot of attention and a lot of money back to Walt Disney World, and that is good for everyone that loves Disney. From another standpoint, I'm looking at it as a guest relation way, such as, like, say you're a big basketball fan, but you don't really care about the theme parks, but you really want to watch them play. You can go out to Disney World and get a cheaper hotel than it would be if you were to go to, say, another state to watch them play. And then you're like, oh, you can bring the family along and then go check out the parks in between games or something like that. So I'm just looking at it as a way of how, I don't know, Disney's going to market this thing really well. And it excites me because a lot of people are going to be like, you know what? We can get the NBA and Disney together. Like, we got something for little Jackie and we got something for Big Billy. It's going to be perfect. So I think it will be a good thing just because you're going to bring the probably some of the richest people in the world, aka the NBA stars, that get paid millions of dollars to bounce a ball. I don't get paid anything to bounce a ball, but
Yet.
it's a great thing just because a lot of attention is coming to Walt Disney World, and it's just going to be a great time. And truly, I usually am not a big fan of Wild World of Sports just because I don't really go there that often, but this would be a reason for me to go check it out and just see like how big are they going to do this when they have something other than a cheerleading competition or a baseball competition. They're going to have one of the world's largest and most popular sports going on at Disney World. It's just, I don't know, it's just making Orlando sort of come back to life. I think it's a good thing. So I'm looking forward to seeing everything that happens. Plus, if you say LeBron James is going to be at Walt Disney World, everyone's going to go to Walt Disney World because they want to see LeBron James.
And why don't you share with everybody what ESPN Wide World of Sports is that doesn't understand what it is?
Absolutely. So the Wide World of Sports is a major complex down at Walt Disney World. It is not a park or a land or anything like that. Since Disney has purchased ESPN, if you did not know that, they built the super complex that has multiple venues for multiple sports, such as everything from softball to football, track and field, dance competitions, basketball, hockey, field hockey, swimming. They have so much room out there that this is often where when people are doing the Disney marathons and races, they start at Wide World of Sports, or at least are organized at Wide World of Sports, because it has such a huge area. It is easily as big as Magic Kingdom if you were to like lay them on top of each other. So Wide World of Sports is just an area where a lot of the sports competitions that happen at Walt Disney World go to, because it just has so much room. So Disney is going to have to put in more seats, because I think a lot of people are going to want to see these folks play basketball.
Katrina, how pumped are you for the NBA coming to Disney World?
I'm not a sports person. I'm not a big basketball person at all. It's great. It's clever for them to try to bring like money back into Disney and get people to actually like try to go and like, utilize the airport, utilize Orlando, because everybody's going to want to stay there and watch sports. So that's great for them. For me, it's neither here nor there. I'll be with little Cindy or whatever over at the parks. So
Big Billy's a nice guy, though.
Yeah, but Big Billy can, do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Sure.
He's a big boy. So yeah,
You think this is going to drive a lot of extra business to Disney World, Tyler, or I think it's just a seasonal flash in the pan that might get some added attention from the visitors that might happen to be there?
Yeah, that's a tough question. I don't think it's I don't know. It doesn't seem like a lot of people are going to fly right now to go see a basketball game, but things could change, I suppose. I don't care if LeBron James is there, honestly. I mean, I'm not saying that, Gared's wrong or anything. There's plenty of people that do. I'm probably the minority, honestly. It's just, I don't know. It's hard for me to know because I don't really pay that much attention to sports. I'm not really sure if people are very excited about this. I know Disney's got to be excited for it. They're like, wow, we finally have a use for this giant thing we built. Awesome. So yeah, I'm not that sure. Time will tell.
You think there's going to be real pent up demand? I mean, especially to know that, the whole idea of being in sort of arena sports has been completely pushed off the table in the last few months. I mean, I think there might be some pent up demand and definitely some groups of folks that are hungry for their sports again. And, even though the majority of us, I guess, are not NBA nuts, it's still something that I know that in terms of people getting together and enjoying organized sports again, there's probably a pent up demand. What do you think, Tyler? Is there going to be a group interested?
Oh, of course there's going to be a group interested, and there's definitely pent up demand, but I just wonder how many of those people are going to be watching it from the safety of their home, and how many people are going to want to go and sit in an arena that is actually not that big, from my understanding, compared to a lot of other arenas, and have that experience right in the beginning anyway.
I have a question.
Do you have a question, Katrina?
How are they going to separate people that are sitting in the arena with like the masks and stuff.
Yeah, I know
and
that
like
that was
be
being.
able to sell tickets and make money.
I know that that was being discussed in terms of how they were going to operate and sort of the health and safety policies they were going to be putting into place for people to safely come together in a public setting for the arena games and stuff like that. So I know that that was being discussed. I don't know that anything permanent has gone into effect, but it's something that's on everybody's mind, obviously, because they want to make sure that they can do it and do it well, and nobody walks away, potentially more sick than they found them. But Gared, maybe finally an excuse for the NBA experience in Disney Springs to get some action, right?
Actually, that's a great idea. The NBA experience, I've checked it out. I haven't been able to experience like the shooting and all that stuff, but just looking at it, I'm looking at the brochure. I was thinking, what's the purpose of this? And even if, like what Tyler and Katrina said, where some people aren't interested, like say they're sports people, but they aren't going to go to the parks, this could still bring a lot of business to the local areas, such as Disney Springs, and such as the Boardwalk, which are areas that like they need people. So say you don't want to go to Magic Kingdom, you can still go to the NBA experience or walk down Disney Springs and check out all of that and just shop instead of going to the parks. Either way, you're going to spend $125 either in a park buying popcorn, or you're going to spend it in Disney Springs going on the balloon 18 times. I don't know how much it is.
I can see a lot of autograph signings and meet and greets and stuff like that happening at the NBA experience to really drive people over there. I think the other question here, Tyler, is like, what is the vested interest of Disney and the NBA? Are you noticing this sort of parallel here, like they reopen Disney Quest to become and they renovate Disney Quest to become the NBA experience at Disney Springs, and now they're bringing the NBA to Walt Disney World?
I think it's you got to follow the money, and I think that's all it is really. I mean, they have ESPN, so it makes sense for them to want to make these partnerships with these different sports whatever you want to call them, sports companies. So I don't even know what the word would be. But anyway, so I think it just makes sense for them they have a deal currently for the NBA experience, clearly, and they have this whole great place for people to play basketball, and they think, well, let's just continue a partnership, like more of a good thing, I guess. But you're right. I mean, I will have to say that probably the most angry I've been is when I heard they were going to tear down Disney Quest for the NBA experience. That just made my day awful. I'm not saying Disney Quest was like the coolest thing in the world, but it just had a lot of nostalgia for me. And I thought that they kind of ripped out a lot of the heart of that building to just put in a couple basketball hoops. So, but I'm not a sports guy, as you guys all clearly see. So, I guess they know what they're doing. They're probably making money somehow. So they're going to keep on going with that partnership.
Had you put in a WWE experience, I'd be there all the time at Disney Springs. But you put in.
I want to see you do like a swanton bomb off the top rope.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I usually do that on my off days anyhow. So I would showcase that at the WWE experience if they ever bring that to Disney Springs. But yeah, it's something that I've definitely noticed. Bob Iger seems to have a vested interest in the NBA, and he seems very well connected to everybody at the governing board of the NBA, and was even there on site to open the NBA experience, which is not typically something you see the CEO doing, opening up a third-party location in their retail and dining district in Orlando. You would assume that would have been, the chairman of Parks and Resorts or the Disney World president or something. But to have Bob Iger, who at that time was the CEO of the company, show up for this NBA experience, basically come in and throw some basketballs around, that was very interesting to me. And I definitely think you're right, Tyler. Follow the money.
Yeah, I mean, they need to make that money. They got to make that cheddar. They got to make it rain.
That cheddar is right. Well, we look forward to having the NBA coming to Walt Disney World very soon. I think it'll be very stimulating for a lot of the resorts in the area, especially as travel starts to slowly come back online. No doubt about it. This is very lucrative for the Disney company to be hosting all of these teams and be hosting so many of these games, because now this is going to fill up a lot of empty rooms that would otherwise go unfilled during this temporary sort of lockdown time where Disney World is trying to come back online with all sorts of precautions and can't fill all the rooms because they can't have everybody in the parks. It'll be very interesting to see what happens with the NBA at Disney. All right, friends, you stick around. Questions and answer time is coming up next. It is Kingdom Report Live. See you in just a second.
Hey, Kingdom team, do you need more magic in your life? We understand, which is why we connect you to more of what makes you happy 3 times a week. Catch our theme park coverage, vlogs, and reviews every Tuesday and Thursday. And experience the Kingdom Report Live, streaming every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. That's new content every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, crafted with you in mind. Don't miss out. Be sure to subscribe and activate notifications at The Kingdom Report on YouTube, and catch every update throughout the week at Kingdom Report Live on social media. See you there.
Kingdom team all call time has arrived, and you know what that means, right? It is question and answer time. You got questions for us, we got answers for you. If you have not already done so, head on over to kingdomreportlive.com to submit a question form, or you can leave a comment under any of our YouTube videos or on Facebook Live, or if you are interested, kingdomreportlive@gmail.com. So many ways to get in touch with us, so many ways to submit your questions. Got lots of questions for you this week. We will try to get to as many of them as we can. From Walt's homeboy, they say the following: hey, since Disney World will be requiring reservations for theme park visits to control crowds, do you think this is something Disneyland will adopt for all guests and require of all of the annual pass holders? We now know that as Disney World comes back online for a July 11th reopening for Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom theme parks, July 15th for Epcot and Disney's Hollywood Studios, that they are requiring reservations of everybody to enter their theme parks. So that way they can manage the capacity a little bit better, and that includes their annual pass holders. Disneyland being an annual pass holder bastion where they have probably close to 1 million, and that is not an exaggeration, close to 1 million annual pass holders in Southern California who make up the majority of the day-to-day audience at Disneyland. Knowing that, Tyler, do you anticipate reservations coming online for all annual pass holders and all guests at Disneyland?
1,000%. That's definitely happening.
1,000.
Yeah,
a lot of percentage points.
Went through the roof. That's a lot of percentage, I know, but it definitely is happening. Like 1,000%. So I've got nothing more to say about that. It's definitely going to happen.
You're convinced of it. All right,
Yeah.
Katrina, you on board? 1,000% worth?
1,000%. Apparently, that's like the cap. I mean, again, like you said, there's so many annual pass holders out there. And I feel like once Disney opens, everybody's going to try to bum rush into the happiest place on earth because, I mean, they need to feel that sense of like, you know, I don't know, happiness again, that like you lose whatever's on the outside world right now and then just escape your problems and then just head to Disneyland. And honestly, like I miss my castle. Like I'm going to be one of those people probably that's going to just like walk in and just start crying because I'm just super stoked. So they have to control it somehow.
Well, in the meantime, you can look at that castle behind you, I think.
Yeah, it's not quite as big. I mean, you know, not that we have a massive castle at Disneyland either way, but it is, you know, and it's also not the right castle.
That's true.
It's Cinderella's castle.
Yeah, you miss your Sleeping Beauty castle, your intimate little castle.
The pink one.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
The one that's supposed to be pink, not the one that was repainted pink.
That's true. They're both pink now, kind of, right? So
don't even get me started.
No reason to start a fight. Not here. Not now. My gosh. Gared, hey, when it comes down to, you think Disneyland, you subscribe to this idea 1,000% worth that they are going to require reservations of absolutely everybody, including APs?
1,000%. That's child's play. I'm saying 3,000.
Whoa!
3,000.
Don't say 3,000.
I love you, 3,000.
No, but in reference to your castle, I remember, this is a little segue. Yes, I think they're going to do this reservation system because Disneyland, like pretty much your only separation from the outside world is Harbor Boulevard, pretty much, and a parking garage. So they are going to need this to try and maintain that, because I don't know, I just imagine it being some sort of like zombie horror, like, oh, give us the magic. But
Wow.
I remember one time I was at Disneyland and I was walking around just enjoying all the magic because it's the happiest place on earth and all that. And then some girl was like, excuse me, like, do you come here a lot? I'm like, yeah. And she's like, where's the castle? I'm like, that is the castle. And she's like, no, the really big one. I'm like, no, that's the only castle here. Are you thinking of the tall white one? They're like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, that one's in Florida. And they're like, Mom, we came to the wrong one. And I'm like, this part's better anyway. But
How do you mess that
whatever.
up? Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, it's going to be required, and I'm sure the Walt Disney World reservation system will be sort of the test phase of what they're going to do, because Disneyland, like I said, that one road can only keep so many people out. So it'll be interesting to see how Disneyland does it, because yeah, there's a lot of diehards out in Los Angeles and California that love Disneyland a lot more than Floridians love Disney World.
Yeah, I'm starting to wonder myself when it comes to trying to manage this. I completely subscribe to the idea too, guys, that reservations for all is probably exactly what's going to happen, because they have to, given the size and scope of how small Disneyland is and how many annual pass holders no doubt want to show up all at once to see their park again. But I think I'm a little bit more worried about how many annual pass holders are going to be upset with this process, because with capacity, being quoted as potentially 30% of what normally is allowed in, in Disney World, 30% is a lot more than what you would find inside of Disneyland Park, just due to the sheer size of everything. I know that when it comes to annual passes, producer Curt and I have the annual pass where you already make reservations, where you already book out in advance what you'd like to do in terms of date, and so we've already sort of gotten used to it, and I've looked at it as a positive, because typically, and I think I mentioned this before, but typically when you see a date coming up that is shaded blue, that means that you have to make a reservation. There are some days that are green where it's completely acceptable to just walk in, but I would see days that were shaded blue where you had to make a reservation, and then occasionally you'd see days that would be blue and blocked out, meaning you can't make a reservation. But the blue days that I would see would kind of give me an indication that they're already anticipating that this day is going to be very crowded. And so I would just choose not to go. And, as a local, as an annual pass holder, it's nice to have that luxury, certainly. But I think that we might see some headbutting when it comes to the annual pass holder base in Disneyland, because this really is a locals park. This really is a place that people are very territorial about in terms of being a locals destination. Do you think that there's going to be some fury? I'm not saying it's okay. I'm not saying it's acceptable. But Katrina, do you think there's going to be some annual pass holder pushback when they realize, wait a minute, I have the most expensive pass, and yet I'm required to make a reservation. I can't even go when I want?
Yeah, pretty much. I feel like in my mind, I'm already seeing this play out in like a Broadway theme, and like the 365 annual pass holders, and then like your annual pass holders are like doing this cool dance, and then they're like, no, this is my park. Anyway.
Very West Side
but
Story.
I think, thank you.
Yeah.
That's right. So I think, because again, with 365, because we have the annual pass for, Disney World and Disneyland, and we paid that premium price for it, and we go to Disneyland more often, and now we have to do like this, we have to reserve a day to go, when before we would just go like, oh, well, let's just go because our friends are going to go. Let's just do a last minute, head over to Disneyland kind of thing. And now it's like we have to pre-plan it. Also, what are they going to do for us? Because now I feel like a rude person, but like, what are they going to do for us?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to give us magnets.
Because they don't even give us magnets at Disneyland. They give us like buttons that we can't do anything with.
Some magnets.
Anyway, but like what my point is, now how many times are they going to allow us to book a month? Because they're going to have to put caps on how many people book per month. So if we have a 365 pass and we only could book like, once a week or twice a week, that's not really a 365, is it? So it's just, I don't know what they're going to try to do to kind of make up for it. Cause I mean, I don't want a button. I want like, something else.
I mean, I got to say that correct me if I'm wrong, but they're still offering refunds, right? So if you don't like this, then get a refund.
No.
I mean,
I want my
don't know what else-
Disneyland.
I want to go to Disneyland.
I mean, it's amazing to me. I've seen a couple people online talking about Disney World and stuff too, and just how they don't want to go. They need the Disney magic to come back and stuff. And I'm like, does nobody care about safety? I mean, I just want people to be healthy, and I just feel like it's an incredibly selfish thing to not worry about your safety and everybody else's. So if you don't like it, get a refund and get out of the park, because I don't like your attitude anyway, to be honest. So.
But my point is like, we paid for 3. I mean,
no,
again,
I know your point. I know
okay.
your point. I get your point. I don't mean to squash your point. I agree with you. I think a lot of people will feel that way.
Don't squash my point.
And it does suck to have that pass, say 365 days, and then it's not anymore. I'm not saying that's cool. I'm not excited about that, but I am going to face that because I want people to be healthy, and I think we need to do what's right for
I wonder if they're going
everybody.
to open up like certain amounts. So like maybe the 365 get like a better chance of getting those days than other people get those days. So like passes like yours, where you had, a certain amount a month that you can go, they have like, 30 days in advance they can reserve. And then we have like a better chance of getting those days that we wanted.
Interesting.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you guys raise great points, and I think that everyone needs, for the sake of perspective, to understand that nothing is normal, right? Nothing is how it used to be. Nothing is the way that we used to appreciate and enjoy it. Everything has changed in a very short amount of time, and Disney has to adapt to it. And it should only be temporary, at least it sounds that way. And so trying to deal with the temporary restrictions can be a struggle. Completely understand that, but nothing is normal. Everybody's making sacrifices here and there. And I know that Disney will probably give any sort of accommodation possible to make an annual pass worth it. But I think that the whole ticket structure is going to be very different moving forward. And potentially, these annual passes, I think that we might see that in the near future, or maybe potentially all annual passes. Maybe this is what they've been waiting for, where all annual passes become reservation based only. Because I know that this annual pass holder base, as I had mentioned, it's about 1 million people. That annual pass holder base, when they all decide to show up, that's a problem, and it taxes out parking, and it's completely overwhelming to the resort system. And I think that the experiment with the current annual pass, the one that Curt and I have, that allows you to make that reservation, I think that's an experiment anyway, to try and see if they can better manage the annual pass holder base. And now this might just give Disney the overall excuse to institute that across the board, because a place like Disneyland kind of needs it. And if you've ever been in the parks when all the annual pass holders do decide to show up, just because maybe it's a one-day only event, or maybe it's something where it's an exclusive experience, they all show up. And it can be absolutely maddening. You drive around for hours trying to get to a Disney parking space because they've run out. You do your best to wait 30 to 45 minutes to get on a tram to be taken to the entrance plaza, only to wait another 45 minutes to just get scanned into the park. It can be very taxing for anybody trying to take that trip when you're an annual pass holder and everybody else has the same idea that you do. So perhaps we will see more of a reservation type system in the near future for all annual passes, but at least temporarily it sounds like that might just be the thing that does happen across the board. We wait to see what Disney has to share. Guys, one of the other things that I wanted to mention in between questions here is that there was a story earlier this week about Disneyland Resort now accepting reservations for July 15th or later. And originally we had heard that July the 1st was where the goalposts had been moved to make reservations to stay on Disney property. And now knowing that July 15th and later is being publicized by the company as, hey, here's where we are moving things in terms of reservation dates, does this make you think that we are going to see, and I know we've talked about this before, do you see a mid-July opening after all? I think that this is very interesting that they've decided to not only mention this publicly, but that this date, July 15th, is so close to their big anniversary on the 17th. Gared, let's jump to you first. This is something that definitely raises some eyebrows, especially now that they're mentioning it. You think that we might see a July Disneyland reopening?
It sounds like a dream come true, truly. Um, it's still too early to tell. I think it's interesting how it is the same exact date as Disney World opening all four parks up finally, but it's I don't know. Even though we're almost 1 month away from that date, it's still too early to tell because Disney announced that Walt Disney World would be opening up, and they gave a month time for that to really come to fruition. So I'm really wondering what will happen with Disneyland but Disneyland's also a lot smaller, so it's a lot easier to control in some areas. I still am in the mindset that August or September. July would be amazing, but I still think it's going to be August, September.
Very good. Katrina, does this new sort of discussion that Disney is raising around July 15th, does that make you, and we want to make very clear, they haven't announced that they're reopening at any point, but knowing that those reservation dates and that the announcement of, hey, now July 15th and later, does that make you think that we are going to see something July-based?
I can't. I feel like what they were trying to do for Disney World and try to accept reservations, just hoping that they would open. But I think it would be really stupid on their part to try to open Disney World and Disneyland on the same day. It would just be like a catastrophe of problems. And I think that they don't want to lose money. So I think they're still I don't know. I feel like it's like a game, right? So they're just like, oh, reservations are still open for July 15th. So then they get those people to make those reservations to commit to a day. And then once they cancel them, it's either they go, oh, well, do you want to change the day to maybe a month out to keep that reservation alive and instead of just canceling it? Because again, that's potential money of someone coming to, spend at the park. So, who knows? They might try to allow reservations for like July 6th or 15th, but then those people, they might like call separately and say, hey, we're going to cancel that. We're not going to open on that day. Would you like to go next month? And then with a hotel reservation, you might get priority access into the park or something. They might try to do some kind of like tricky thing like that, I feel like, to try to keep that reservation alive and then try to keep that money in their pocket. And like I'm with Gared, I feel like September is like the earliest that they would do it, because if they were smart, we're annual pass holders. So we want to go. And if school starts, then it's going to be a less problematic during the weekdays for people to run to the park. Because if they open up in July or August, those people are going to try to have that one last hurrah, run to the park and then cause problems. So, and on top of that too, as a travel agent, we get emails from Disney, letting us know in advance when reservations are about to cancel. And they've been canceling Disneyland reservations every single week. They send us an email saying, this is what's going out to your clients. We're canceling this week to this week. So by the way it looks, they can't open on July 15th. That'd be crazy.
That's really great insight, and I appreciate that. I want to offer something else to you guys here. So Dave Koenig of Mice Chat released a column this past week talking about how there are a lot of cast members that have gone back to work at Disneyland that are starting the process of cleaning things off and cycling things through again and moving into place. He reported at length about that, and certainly it's a rumor column, but it's something that he's saying he's getting direct sort of firsthand knowledge of from the people that are in the park that are returning. And with that, I reached out to somebody that I know who's a part of the company, and I asked, do you think that this is potentially something that we're going to see? Do you think there's a realistic expectation that a July reopening happens? And he said, wishful thinking. However, we get that other report that there are people there and people being brought back online slowly. Knowing that, just playing devil's advocate, Tyler, does that maybe indicate that we're going to see something July-based? I mean, and I don't want to beat this to death because I think that we have talked about Disneyland's reopening at length before, but it certainly to me seems like there's something happening here and maybe they're just trying to keep it quiet.
Well, I'm not going to say no on the July based. I'm definitely saying no on July 15th.
Okay.
I have a little bit of inside info from a couple cast member friends as well, who part of the union, the cast member union, and those leaders are telling their cast members that that July 15th is not happening, and so I'm not really sure if a July based thing could happen. That's a possibility. They are in talks with Disney right now, the union. So but I think for them, they want the cast members to be safe. And I think that's what the whole goal is. And that's what the talk is really over, is they want to make sure that cast members are actually going to be safe in their line of duty, So that's what I've heard. I think that it's going to be highly unlikely that July 15th happens, and maybe we'll see it at the end of July or something. But because Disney would love to open because they have the summer crowds and everything. Right. But we shall see. I don't know, man. It's
maybe they should open August 3rd, and only with people that have birthdays on August 3rd get to go in.
Hint, hint.
Katrina, you heard it, everybody. Get a birthday gift ready, everyone.
Yeah. Now you know, right? Everybody's plugged in. Katrina's Big Day coming very soon.
Mark it on your calendars.
Sounds like a great movie. Katrina's Big Day.
In theaters this summer. All right, our next question comes to us from Petra Dahmer. Petra asks, when the controlled capacity of Disney World is called off, do you foresee a future, a crush of crowds because of pent-up demand? Or do you think the parks will remain quiet for a while? So obviously she's asking about whether or not after all of these temporary restrictions sort of wear off, do you anticipate the parks are going to fill right back up the way that they used to be? Or are you expecting crowds to be a little bit more hesitant in terms of approaching the 4 theme parks of Walt Disney World, and maybe travel continues to just have a slow burn rather than a full raging fire like it was prior to the coronavirus hitting? Katrina, you're the travel professional among us who's just so well-spoken and well-read. What do you think when it comes to this sort of a question?
Well, so in my thoughts, I don't see it happening like if they do decide to like have it full capacity again, the main question is how about the rules for 6 feet apart, or not 6 feet apart, because if it's full capacity, that's just out the window. Right. But with the masks, because that's the main thing, right? So there are a lot of people around the United States that don't agree with the masks. And they have canceled their annual passes. They are very boisterous about how they just don't believe in this stuff. And so I feel like if they do go back to 100% capacity and they still force people to wear masks, we're not going to see a bum rush of people, because there still will be reserved people that refuse to go to Disney until they get rid of the masks rule. And then if they do go back to full capacity and, masks are, optional, then you might see a lot more people coming back into Disney World. But it just depends on their mask rule, because I feel like that's what's holding people back, because a lot of people don't agree on it. I agree that everybody should wear a mask for the time being, but a lot of people don't. So I think that's the main thing, I guess.
Sure. So Tyler, say masks are off the table. Everything is back to, quote, normal, or as normal as it can be. Those temporary restrictions have expired. Do you see a crush of humanity making their way into the parks, or do you think the travel industry is going to take a while to really get restarted again?
I personally think the first few days are probably going to be crowded, maybe the first couple days. But then, unfortunately, even without the mask, like you said, even if they didn't force you to wear a mask, I hate to say this, but a lot of people are really struggling financially, and even people that think they might have a job when all this is over, probably a lot of them won't have a job, and a lot of businesses are going to close and not be able to recover. And Disneyland's expensive. Like, make no mistake, it is a treat to be able to afford Disneyland, and I feel bad for the millions of people who have lost their job or have been furloughed. And then, a lot of companies out there aren't really being necessarily forward with their employees, and they'll say, oh yeah, you're furloughed. And then really what their plan is to just fire the people at the end. And that's a horrible thing. That's a horrible reality that we're living through right now. But, the only thing that has happened in my lifetime that I can even slightly compare it to is 9/11. And I just don't even think that's a fair comparison, but just remember how much the park suffered then.
Sure.
And this is even worse. This is way worse. And it's affecting everyone around the world, not just Americans. So it's going to be slow. I think it's going to be pretty slow.
Gared, the analysts have been coming out more and more from a financial perspective, talking about how much money Disney's losing, how much money they will lose in this process. But the other thing that they've really focused on is attendance, and something that we saw very early on, prediction-wise, was that when it comes down to crowds, it's going to take up to 2 years, and I've seen this in 2 different analyst reports from 2 different banks. It's going to take 2 years for crowds to recover to pre-pandemic levels. Do you think that that's something that's realistic? You think the analysts got it wrong, maybe, or what say you?
The analysts get paid a lot more money than I do to do their job, but I think that, of course, they're starting off with this limited capacity, which will just say 30%, and then it goes into the next phase, which is in 50, then 70. So as the phases get better and better, allowing more and more freedoms in the park and around the country and the world, the economy will boost at the same time. So like 2 years does sound realistic, but I think I really think a year and a half, that things might be a lot easier, and then we'll see a rush, maybe not like a rush like 4th of July, but I'm thinking a couple weeks before spring break or something, because I like the day that just keeps popping into my mind are February crowds. February crowds are some of the smallest crowds, just because in February everyone's in school. You only really get a big turnout for like President's Day or all that in the middle of the month. So I could really see like maybe levels at that, which are maybe like 75-80% of park capacity. That to me is a dream come true for Disney, because there's still going to be a little bit of distance, but until we have a way of combating this thing and keeping ourselves safe, I don't see anything happening like with capacity being let go soon. So as long as there's capacity, the stuff gets better, eventually. Okay, I have no idea where I was going with that, but I'll just say this. Eventually things will get better, and what it will essentially come down to, it will be when states are opening up and there's a lot more, like when people have their jobs back, then there'll be a rush. If people don't have money, people aren't going to go to the parks. People aren't going to do multiple mortgages and take out credit cards just to go to Disney. They'd rather feed their families first. So the analysts seem pretty on it, but I'm going to say wishful thinking, and hopefully by maybe next June, in 1 year, things will be a lot better.
Yeah, I think point raised there about the whole idea with people not having jobs at the other end of this, and financially things being far worse off than they were, will definitely play into whether or not there's going to be a pent-up crush of humanity that comes flowing back into these parks. Pre-pandemic, I would say that Disney parks were getting to a point where there really was no off season. Every time you were there, it was just very busy, and even those traditionally off-season times, like I would specifically go in those times at Walt Disney World where it was quiet, and I knew it would be quiet, and even the quiet times were becoming more and more busy. Not unbearable, not Christmas week crowds, which are traditionally some of the worst, but I would go in September, right? Hurricane season, most disgusting weather possible in Orlando happens usually during August, September, and I would go then because I thought, at least I'm not going to have to deal with the crowds. I can get a lot more done. But I was even seeing more and more crowds, more and more kids out of school, all of a sudden being pulled out of school to come to these trips. And so it was just becoming more and more saturated all year round, and not necessarily even during the times where you would expect. So I definitely think that on the other end of this, we are going to see perhaps a delay in these theme parks getting back to normal. I think there's going to be an initial hesitation from most people, especially those that are, still uber concerned about coronavirus leading out of this, even past a vaccine. People that are very concerned about health and safety, probably waiting and seeing and wanting to know what it's going to be like first. So I definitely think that we're going to see potentially 6 months or so after a vaccine is created, or 6 months or so after these temporary restrictions sort of expire. I think it's going to be about that time frame before you really see parks start to pick up again. But 6 months isn't a long time. I just think that you're going to see a lot of folks sort of reserve that wait and see approach. And those that don't have money are going to have to start saving again, and definitely have to look at ways in which they can still get to their Magic Kingdom. A lot to consider there. We appreciate the question. All right, my friends, we wrap things up for you next. You stick around. More Kingdom Report live for you straight ahead.
Do you know everything the ghost host is going to say before he says it? Are you ready to thank the Venetians each time you board Spaceship Earth? Can you recite Walt's opening day dedication speech? Then join the Kingdom team today, the influential legacy fan community featuring exclusive merchandise that will alert all who've come to this happy place that you are more than just another guest. You are a trusted theme park fan. Don't miss out. Join the Kingdom team right now by visiting the homepage at kingdomreportlive.com. That's kingdomreportlive.com. And now, back to the magic.
One last look outside at the Disneyland Resort today as we see Guardians of the Galaxy mission breakout over their California Adventure Park. Who wouldn't want to just free fall scream right now? Am I right? On a beautiful Saturday. Well, my friends, as we wrap things up, we take one more trip across the country, check in with our team to see if there are any closing notes. Tyler, got anything for us?
Not necessarily Disney related. I mean, it will be. I mean, I started a Twitch, which is a dumb video game streaming thing that you can come and follow. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can come and see when I'm going to be live, and I just chat with people. And I actually play with Tiki Andy a lot, who's in our chat all the time. So if you have a good time talking to Tiki Andy, you can come and watch his Twitch too. And then I'm going to be playing some Disney games soon. I'm going to be playing like all the Disney afternoon classics and stuff like that. So that should be pretty fun. Yeah, other than that, not much is going on. The theme parks are still closed.
How do we find your Twitch?
What's that? Sorry?
How do we find your Twitch?
Oh, well, if you just, my name is Blue Jesta. It ends with an A instead of an ER, but I'm thinking I'm going to change that soon. But anyway, just if you just follow me on Twitter, you'll see when I'm going to go live, and I'll post the links and stuff like that. So you can come and follow me there. Yeah. Excellent.
Katrina?
Nothing. Just finished up my Fuller House. I bawled like a little baby.
Aww.
Oh God, it was so sad. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful wrap up to my whole livelihood. But I don't know.
So it's just that's it downhill from there.
Yeah, just like what am I supposed to do now? Uncle Jesse's gone. Aunt Becky's going to jail. I mean, and now I'm just like, well, who knows? Now I'm gonna go rewatch my Friends again and get sad after that too.
Oh yeah, I'm
Yay,
savoring
quarantine.
it. I haven't yet watched
Savor.
the series finale of Fuller House on Netflix yet, but definitely waiting for that moment.
It's like a fine wine.
Savor it. Don't blow it like I did. I blew it within like 2 days. I watched all of a whole season, rewatched the first 10, and then finished up with the next.
Oh my gosh!
In like 2-3 days. I mean, it was a lengthy day.
We're in quarantine.
No wonder you were so emotional. Oh my goodness.
I saved that for my very last day. I was like, I'm going to wait. I turned it off. I was like, the next day I'm going to watch it. Sat down with my breakfast, and then I just bawled. Just bawled. I loved all the cameos from all the past.
Oh, I can't wait.
We'll chat about it when you're done.
Yeah, you got me. You got me all excited. It's it's a childhood classic that I absolutely can't wait to. As much as I hate to see it go, I can't wait to see how they finish it off. And so special to have a second run with it, and even without certain cast members coming back, it was very nice to have a hearkening to the original again. So they couldn't have come back at a better time, I think. And Gared, closing notes, anything for us, sir?
Yeah, so out here in my undisclosed location, aka Ariel's apartment, the pool has opened back up, so I'll be cooling myself off in the pool. Still going to the gym, trying to become the best Gaston that I can be, minus falling off of a tower for stealing some dude's girlfriend. But other than that, all I have to say is, stay safe, everyone, and hugs, not drugs. Again.
Hugs, not drugs, and take a dip. Good for you. All right. Well, it has been such a joy having you with us as always. It's amazing how fast an hour flies when you are having a good time. And I want to thank you all for being a part of the broadcast today. If you are tuned in live, can't thank you enough for being a part of that live crew and for giving us a big thumbs up over there on YouTube. If you're not subscribed yet, please make sure that you go ahead and click that big red button. You don't want to miss any of the videos that we have throughout the week, as well as over on our social media channels at Kingdom Report Live. As always, a great pleasure to be with you. And remember that the legacy of Walt Disney World lives on because of people like you and me. We'll see you next Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific for an all-new Kingdom Report Live.